Hello and welcome to Mountain Connect and today's session, everyone. Sam Pratt is my name, CEO at Render Networks, and it's great to be with you all this afternoon here at Mountain Connect. I am sure we would all prefer to be up in the scenic region of the Colorado Rockies than the comfort of our respective home offices, but at least there's next year to look forward to. I'd like to just start off by firstly saying thanks to Jeff for including Render in what looks to be another first-class agenda. In addition to the people and the stunning environment of Mountain Connect, it's always a highlight. The agenda is always a highlight and a point of differentiation over other events. And so we are thrilled to be here with you. When I say we, I'm here with Frank DeJoy.
Hello.
Yeah, quick hello. Thanks, Frank. Fantastic. And look, before we get moving, a little bit about Render. So our mission at Render is to enable network owners, engineers, and construction partners like yourselves to build networks better, and ultimately do so by utilizing digital construction management innovation. That's what we do at Render. In today's session, we're going to explore the role a digital data-driven approach to building this essential infrastructure is playing in connecting communities faster across the country, and cover firstly, four innovation opportunities to streamline rural network deployment and mitigate delivery risk. We're going to touch on the role of geospatial technology and digital workflows and how they can help significantly improve the outcomes of these projects. And then also on some opportunities to optimize your network build strategy and delivery in line with RDOF and CAF II funding requirements. So before I get started, really delighted to have you with us, Frank. And Frank is our Vice President of Network Deployment at Render. So what's the weather like in San Diego, firstly, Frank? And can you introduce yourself to the folks at Mountain Connect?
Yes, it's pretty nice here in San Diego today. A little more cloudy than usual, but overall can't complain. And thank you, Sam, for the intro, and thank you to Mountain Connect and everyone in the audience for your participation today. A brief background about me: I've been in the telecom and wireless industry for about 30 years. About half the time with operators such as Teleport Communications Group and AT&T Wireless, and the other half at engineering and construction firms such as General Dynamics, Quanta Services, and Dycom. But we'll end the introduction there and move on to the presentation.
Thanks, Frank. And before we dive straight in, folks, a really brief introduction to what we do at Render. So all we're focused on is building technology that helps fiber and wireless networks get deployed as efficiently as possible. Our approach is first of its kind globally, and our team, just like Frank, brings decades of experience and domain expertise in large-scale network deployment. Our role is to help you build these networks better with technology. At last count, Render customers across the US are using our platform to deliver broadband connectivity to more than 500,000 US households and businesses, something we're really proud of. And we're currently streamlining these network deployments across 8 US states and counting. We've got people on the ground in Virginia, Colorado, California, New Mexico, and we're excited to be part of the solution to bridging the rural divide and ensuring that these networks are achieved with the maximum possible return for our customers, but also the communities that you're all focused on serving.
And I'd just like to add just a few brief comments. We'll talk about our digital approach and our platform today and how it can help with your RDOF deployments and traditional deployments. But one thing I'd like to add about Render is we're much more than a software platform and geospatial SaaS, even though we do that tremendously well. We have decades of telecom expertise, and we engage with our clients as they mobilize with our solution, and we support our clients and partners throughout the life cycle of of their programs and projects.
Absolutely. No, thanks for adding that in, Frank. Appreciate it. So to get us moving, a unique opportunity certainly for rural broadband right now. So as many of you are aware, RDOF and other programs are in flight and certainly represent a significant acceleration of efforts to subsidise the construction of broadband infrastructure and connect millions of underserved homes and businesses with a focus on rural. As many in the industry are experiencing firsthand right now, thanks to the global pandemic facing all of us, consumer expectations for reliable broadband access have genuinely advanced several years in what feels like the space of a few months. The crisis has put the spotlight on the significant impacts resulting on communities across the country who are unable to gain internet access, and never has there been a greater moment or more certain resolve to the connection challenges facing communities. This sense of urgency presents a rare opportunity to build a network that will serve both the community's needs today and certainly well into the future. Just to give you a bit of an example of that urgency, communities that our customers are currently building out have as many as 30% of kids working, certainly not working from home, but kids at home without a reliable internet access point, reliable internet connectivity, which is a real struggle. And in an environment when so many are having to engage in distance learning and other activities, I think we're all aligned with the fact that what we're doing as an industry is really more critical now than it's ever been. So I'll pass over to you, Frank, to introduce today's session. Thanks.
Thank you, Sam. Looking ahead at the various funding sources, we're focusing today's session on how we can best provide the tools and frameworks to deliver your rural framework, whether it's funded by one of the many government stimulus packages you see here, or a hybrid of public and private investments. And given the current focus on RDOF and CAF II, let's just level set on what's important to these funding scenarios and what are some of the important post-award requirements. Reporting requirements for RDOF and CAF II are nearly identical. We'll discuss these in more detail later in the presentation. Every home and business must be served within the auction census block group for RDOF and CAF II. And no additional money is going to be awarded if more locations are found than initially identified. Stringent completion milestones apply. 40% must be complete. 40% of the locations must be complete at the end of year 3, then 20% per year through to year 6. And failure to meet these milestones leads to an escalating non-compliance penalty. These criteria are relevant now because bidders need to take into consideration potential barriers to deployment to make sure they don't interfere with meeting the requisite program milestones. All of these considerations should be incorporated into your build strategy, which Sam will talk about later in the presentation. We've structured the main part of today's presentation focused on these 4 innovative opportunities for network deployment success. 1, begin with the end in mind, network planning and design. A solid design forms the foundation for all downstream workflows and dependencies. 2, mitigate delivery risk and create win-win partnerships. Focus on what you do best, engage partners with complementary capabilities, and establish shared goals. 3, leverage innovative tools and technologies for maximum efficiency and productivity. Manual processes and paper do not scale. 4, enable real-time geospatial visibility for all project stakeholders, which is especially important for telecom deployment efficiencies.
Thanks, Frank. And we'll delve into each of these in quite a bit more detail, folks.
Sure. So let's begin by looking at the first opportunity for deployment success, planning and design. Contractors and materials are in peak demand, and if there's ever going to be a sharp skill and material shortage in the industry, 2021 will likely be the year. Our recommendation is to invest time in defining a build strategy and utilize technology that includes flexibility mechanisms, particularly in the case of RDOF or CAF, where there needs to be prioritization based on census blocks. Flexibility mechanisms should also include the ability to redirect resources optimally, respond to internal and external delivery factors, including shortages of fiber supply or contractor crews, also to dynamically shift resources according to changing strategic priorities, such as covering underserved areas to accelerating revenue growth. And as is the case with most infrastructure projects, the structural disconnect between design and construction can significantly impact project timelines and costs. While the design phase of a project generally equates to less than 10% of total project investment, it can have a disproportionate impact on overall delivery success. The network design is a foundational deliverable to define the project scope and budget accurately. The benefits of a quality design and data-driven approach extend throughout a network deployment lifecycle, including outside plant design, permitting, and construction rules. A digital approach mobilized early in the design process leads to confidence in the construction scope, quality RFPs, realistic schedules, and competitive inputs for auction bids, such as, you guessed it, RDOF. We'll talk about some technology solves for streamlining the design and construction handover in just a minute. Over to you, Sam.
Thanks, Frank. And yes, look, certainly just to touch on what Frank's mentioned there, taking time to focus on that design and get it right is absolutely imperative to setting projects up for success. So thanks for making that point. The next opportunity for network deployment success, sort of wherever possible, is to mitigate delivery risk and ensure win-win partnerships are in place for the project. So this is the number 2 of our opportunities for network deployment success. So carrying on the theme started with keeping the end in mind that Frank kicked us off with. One critical point of success for our customers is mapping the downstream system requirements up front. And this is something that we do in just about all instances that we're involved with, all projects that we're involved with. And why is it important? It's important because the success of a network deployment is really in the success of the customer connection experience when the network is in operation. And we see that this is in large part influenced by the quality of the data captured during the build. It's alarming how poorly this is done across our industry today. And we think that there's reason to focus on it and improve. Also, it's also important in order to try and utilize a digital approach wherever you can. Specific downstream data requirements can be mapped to the as-built collection requirements for field crews, enabling systematic, consistent and accurate data to be collected at each step of the construction process. This is key to keep it as simple as possible for field crews and make the design process really ensure that is fundamentally efficient. Because if it doesn't, then they're not able to get more work done every day, and therefore their incentives are not aligned. Moving on to contractor adoption and retention. Suppliers and contractors, as Frank mentioned, are in peak demand. If there's ever going to be a skills shortage, it's likely over these next 12 months. And in fact, our customers are already reporting up to 26-week lead times in some instances for certain materials. So in advance of this demand spike, initially attracting contractors and encouraging the best possible price necessitates clarity around the process and the tools from the outset. So reducing manual processes and mandating approaches that increase visibility, consistency, and ultimately contractor margins will help with that contractor retention across these deployments, which span many years. Contracts themselves are another consideration here. CAF II, RDOF and other grant programs dictate milestones that Frank has mentioned that do need to be achieved. And the accuracy and timeliness of construction data is really key to keeping projects on track and delivering to these milestones. Some considerations here include negotiating and finalising commercial terms that link all parties' interests throughout the life cycle, from margins right through to completion schedules. Incentivising contractors to reach and exceed targets and enable them to participate in the upside. Weighted incentive-based performance for both speed and quality are powerful enablers that we see implemented well in some instances, and we certainly advocate. As is rewarding consistency and momentum in traditional, in addition to simply a completion target, something that we always push for strongly, yet seldom see done well across the industry. Mandating consistent crew volumes over time and having those volumes have a direct bearing on incentive outcomes. Measures like these are shown to improve retention and progress over time. And we're very happy to dig a little bit deeper into these and other points after the session if you've got any questions. Finally, be prepared to go faster, because inevitably once that build does commence and government or cooperative networks receive funding, stakeholders pick up that the opportunity to get connected is there, generally pressure it follows in order to go faster. It's often driven, in our experience, by members in the community. And while this is a great opportunity to move faster and serve folks faster than originally planned, the material and resource constraints that we touched on earlier do need to be considered up front in order to enable that increase in velocity to happen mid-project.
Yeah, I just want to add to something that you said there, Sam, about incentivizing contractors. And what's very common in the industry are penalties for delays of performance and liquidated damages. And we're talking about something different here: the win-win goals between a network owner and a contractor, and sharing in the success of going faster, getting to market faster. And the other dimension of that, win-win approach is that a digital approach to implementation better enables that win-win strategy in the contract. And we'll further illustrate that as we talk about the benefits and capabilities of a digital approach. So moving on to the third opportunity, leveraging innovation tools and tech, and kind of building on what we talked about. As we move into some of the technology enabled efficiencies available, a real challenge facing field crews is that the level of detail in the design is rarely consistent or clearly defined for construction. Our approach at Render centers on the digital construction pack, which replaces all paper construction prints for an entirely paperless network delivery. This unlocks huge downstream efficiencies, ensures the design is successfully handed over to construction, and maintains geospatial data integrity through the handover to network operations. With our digital construction pack, Render transforms the design into thousands of tasks organized into an optimal build sequence, then progressively releases tasks to the field when they are ready to be completed by qualified crews with the capacity to do the work. Some additional highlights about Render's digital approach include: digital tasks specify what crews need to do and what materials they need to complete, and the data they need to collect digitally via a mobile maps interface that the crews carry. Telecom providers and their construction partners both win by eliminating waste from the construction and ensuring that resources focus on constructible tasks instead of repeatedly solving the problem of where to go and what to do next. And as we mentioned earlier, construction contractors endeavor to stay as productive and efficient as possible. Render helps them accomplish these goals by keeping field crews consistently engaged. Render's platform accomplishes this by automatically updating resource requirements and optimizing task sequencing for construction crews, meaning there are no wasted truck rolls. Adoption is excellent thanks to ease of use of the iPad app for field crews and by enabling the crews to move faster and doing less administrative work in the field and ultimately getting more done.
Yeah, that's right. And the point around administration and efficiency is a really good one, Frank. If we think about a construction crew, what does a construction crew want to do? They want to complete their work in the field. They want to do as much work as they possibly can. That's where their economic incentives are aligned. So taking away that administrative burden, capturing data once, is really something that we help to unlock at Render and lines up with this opportunity, this recommendation.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. It's the paperwork and administration is one of the least desirable tasks in the field. So building on the tools and technologies opportunity, technology effectively integrated into one platform for end-to-end construction management can have a tremendous impact on productivity. Such a platform can deliver end-to-end digital construction management, including field service, quality assurance, change management, digital redlining, and customer connections within one workflow and one source of data. Render's construction management platform delivers integrated construction, QA, change management, and digital redlining processes, which enables project teams to dynamically identify and resolve quality issues as the work is completed. Further, initiating QA in parallel with construction significantly improves contractor payment times, contractor retention, and overall time to market, getting back to that win-win partnership with contractors that we talked about earlier. As to engineering, when a design is ingested, as in Render's digital approach, that design is transformed into deliverable work and sequenced by software for optimal geospatial delivery, as we mentioned earlier. Technology-enabled optimization then accurately updates resource requirements and releases the tasks in real time. In addition to this resource allocation and intelligent sequencing of deployment tasks, quality assurance, change management, and digital redlining processes should be dynamically integrated into the platform. Finally, digital as-builting provides a paperless mechanism to close out work orders in real time. This process synchronizes field data to all project stakeholders, including providing progressive updates to downstream systems. This saves time, cost, and improves data quality, not to mention alleviating the field crews of their manual paperwork requirements. I'll now turn to the fourth opportunity, enabling geospatial visibility for all stakeholders. With a geospatial SaaS, construction managers, project managers, network owners, and engineers are able to monitor deployment progress in real time and analyze project insights with certainty. Stakeholders can have confidence that the platform is leveraging cloud-based data and integrated systems. The digital approach eliminates manual paper and spreadsheet-based handoffs. Data is collected electronically and consistently throughout deployment with as-built requirements in mind. As-built updates are delivered digitally, directly from the field on iPads to the office. This process ensures updates are ready and progressively available for network operations, fiber management, finance, and CRM systems as the work is completed, not necessarily at the end of the project, as is the traditional case. Finally, RDOF and CAF II reporting requirements lead to the need to track progress in real time to ensure government reporting is both manageable and compliant. Most of these state and federal funding programs also carry long-term reporting mandates. Therefore, compliance doesn't end with the completion of the network. There are data retention considerations of 5 or up to 10 years. So the quality and accessibility of project data both short and long term, should be a consideration. Back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Frank. So folks, that wraps up the 4 opportunities for network deployment success that we wanted to cover. So they're summarized here very briefly. So we begin with the end in mind. Think about downstream requirements from a data perspective, and securing those resources ahead of time. Look to mitigate delivery risks and create win-win partnerships and ensure that incentives are aligned. And then we touched on innovation, and our version of innovation in deployment is our platform and approach, and so we've covered that in a little bit of detail. I just wanted to before we move to wrap up, touch on a little bit more about what our approach is at Render. So our business was founded on a data-driven approach to construction. The shaded boxes that we see here are where our digital solution fits into that end-to-end process. We have a small role to play in field validation or make-ready engineering or construction ride-out type activities, but really we pick up as construction commences at Render. We're not an engineering, design, consulting or construction provider. What we provide is software as is our service and a software as a service platform for digitizing your construction management. So across planning and design phases, in our view, a task-based data-driven approach is needed to produce an optimal and truly constructible network design. And then with Render, the network design is, as Frank's mentioned, transformed into digital construction scope that solves for that disconnect between design and construction. There are a lot of really exciting benefits and efficiencies that we see across our customer portfolio, and we won't go through these in a whole lot of detail, but if you do have any questions, please do reach out. We see up to 30% field productivity improvements by digitizing that workflow, getting rid of manual handoffs, by reducing waiting time and ensuring crews know where they need to go. They understand what materials and equipment is required digitally and able to save time and get more done each day, no matter if they're subcontracted or members of that prime contractor workforce. We also assist in maintaining a single source of data truth across our projects as well, and administration and field supervision efficiencies, especially by way of our digital approach, and are especially relevant in these times that we're in right now, reducing the amount of people required in the field and interaction of folks in the office as well.
One more point on this. So we talked about partnerships and going faster and sharing the benefits of the upside as a strategy. Well, Render is the tool, as illustrated here, that enables the improvements to achieve the upside for the engineers, the construction contractors, the network owners, and other shareholders. And these are very realistic improvement expectations that we've seen.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to touch very briefly on a case study. So one of our many clients and case studies is Craighead Electric in rural Arkansas, who are delivering 3,000 miles for the benefit of 30,000 members, and an initial goal of covering 50% of that membership in a period of 3 years was actually delivered in 18 months. And certainly all folks that are involved in the project have participated in and contributed to that success, and we're only a part of that at Render. But Craighead and Irby Utilities, who is working with Craighead, are achieving fantastic results, 55% ahead of schedule. Their outside plan has been moving very, very quickly, and it's all been achieved whilst using significantly less administrative resource than was initially anticipated. So look, that's a little bit about Render. Some of our opportunities for deployment success. So hopefully you've all gained something from today's session. And we just want to emphasize that we certainly are here to help. And for all of you at Mountain Connect and the broader Mountain Connect community, even though we're not on the mountain right now, we're very happy to provide a complimentary, no obligation deployment review scenario where we can sit down with you virtually, build out some build scenarios, and discuss how we can put some of these opportunities for success into action across your project. So please do feel free to get in contact. Sorry, Frank.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say my contact info is on the slide, and
yes,
whether it's a fiber project, a fixed wireless, or a mobile project, wireless, feel free to call us.
Absolutely. So look, thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the Mountain Connect show as much as we do. We look forward to actually seeing you at about 8,000 feet next year, as opposed to virtually, and perhaps exchanging a couple of elbow bumps when that time comes. So thanks for your time, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you.